What is up guys, Deadset here. In this video I'll go over a spec for Season 6 Demon Hunters using the set that you receive for free at the start. Aside from the Torment Progression spec, I'll also go over a Greater Rift variation that you can use to get yourself to decently high levels. Let's go. Every new season offers you a one-time opportunity to quickly get a character to decent farming potential through a system called Hedricks Gifts. The gifts are obtained by completing stages of the season journey, with 3 different achievements, each granting 2 pieces of a predetermined class-specific set. You can view the stages of the season journey at any time by clicking the yellow chapter button in the top right corner of the screen, to the right of the difficulty marker. In this example we're using a Crusader, but this is applicable to every class. Each Hedricks gift appears as in-game mail, accessible via the mail button in the lower left corner of the screen, next to the chat button. Claiming the gift puts it in your inventory, where you can open it similarly to a bounty cache. The first of Hedricks gifts is rewarded upon reaching level 70. The second of Hedricks gifts is rewarded upon killing Isuel, the mini-boss in the Great Span, the area connected to the Silver Spire level 1, on Torment 2 or higher. Note the difference to Season 5, where the required boss was Zoltan Kuhl. The third and final of Hedricks gifts is rewarded upon soloing Greater Rift level 20. If you prefer to gauge your capability to complete it in time, it's roughly equivalent to a Torment 4 Rift. After you open the 3 gifts, you'll have all the necessary pieces to attain the full set bonus. The first demonstration is of the Torment Progression variant. As usual, to guarantee the quality of the build, the Torment 10 demonstration has been done with reset paragons, no augmentations on gear, and legendary gems upgraded to the bare minimum of level 25. Sentries are a key part of the build, but they are not the automated dispensers of destruction known from Reaper Saw's release. Encouraging more active gameplay, the developers turned the 4-piece bonus of Marauder to only fire spenders from the sentries when you fire one yourself. Sentries also directly reflect your damage delivery, adding more damage to your skills per sentry dropped. Your overall strategy with the Marauder set is to drop your initial 3 charges of sentry in key positions to cover the battlefield and proc the chill effect, and then start kiting with devastating cluster arrow shots, dropping the additional 2 sentries from Bombardier's rucksack as the cooldown comes up. You'll maintain hatred through the permanent vengeance seed form, assisted by regular evasive fire shots and pops of the companion active. If there's anything left standing after the initial barrage, reposition smartly with Volt and begin the cycle anew. Sentry is the signature charge-based skill in the build, since each sentry in the field translates into more damage dealt by your own spenders. This mandates the use of both custom engineering as a passive and Bombardier's rucksack as a quiver, to synergize with the Cool the Weak passive and Bane of the Trapped legendary gem, as well as to provide additional safety in Greater Rifts. We'll be using the Cold Rune Polar Station. Try to drop one of the turrets directly on top of the enemy, and spread the other 2 of the initial charges to the best of your ability to cover the battlefield in the chilling effect. If the fight is prolonged, continue the strategy with your Bombardier's rucksack charges, but always strive to have 1 turret on top of the biggest threat. Note that in Torment 10 your clear speed will increase to a point where proccing Cool the Weak through Polar Station is too slow in practice, so you can safely switch to the Spitfire turret for a slight increase of your burst. As dictated by the 4-piece bonus of Marauders, turrets will only fire spenders when you do, cutting down the number of spenders you can afford on your skill bar while still managing your hatred. For Greater Rift purposes, Cluster Arrow shines among the competition in the DPS race and offers 2 viable rune choices. The physical Shooting Stars excels at bursting single targets down and is generally preferred, but you can also use the Cold Maelstrom for its healing side effect. Note that the remainder of the guide assumes you've taken Shooting Stars, so adjust elemental damage rolls to Cold if you plan on using Maelstrom. As a final note, if you run Marauder in Torments, you can swap into Multi-Shot Arsenal like I did in the demonstration for a fire and forget solution during speed farming. With its troublesome cost of 40 hatred per shot, Cluster Arrow is an expensive beast to maintain. 2 resource-related skills are incorporated into the build to aid in the struggles of hatred management. First up we have Vengeance. Marauder Demon Hunters achieve permanent uptime of this skill through a cubed Dawn and a modest amount of cooldown reduction. This potent 40% damage buff will also increase hatred regeneration to 10 per second from the Seed rune, and depending on your cube choices for the armor slot, it can also reduce incoming damage in half via the Visage of Gumes. The second option is to pop the active effect of the Companion skill, which triggers the hatred restoration of the Bad Companion. Keep in mind, however, that the Marauder set puts all companions at your side for the small price of a skill slot. The active pop also nets you the Spider Companion Slow, the Boar Companion Taunt, the Ferret Companion Health Globe Grab, and the Wolf Companion 30% multiplicative damage increase, which is a change as of patch 2.41. Thus treat your companion activation not only as a source of 50 hatred, but also as a damage and safety spike. While the protection of the Boar Companion is nice, it is also temporary. Occupying the enemy for merely 5 seconds and only those in a 20-yard radius around you, it will not be enough to keep you in one piece. For emergency situations, you'll be taking a repositioning tool in the form of Vault, a cheap and reliable displacement skill that can take you great distances cheaply with the Tumble rune. Finally, a generator also works its way into the build. One of the strongest primaries for hatred restoration, Evasive Fire Focus. Doing away with the annoying backflip of other evasive fire runes and operating with a conveniently wide arc, it will efficiently and unobtrusively fulfill its duty as a proc for focus and restraint. This concludes the overview of the active skills. Now let us look through the passives. Custom Engineering is the dream passive of the Marauder playstyle, doubling the duration of your sentries and increasing their maximum number and initial charges to 3. While their numbers will swell even further with the Bombardier's Rucksack, the ability to skyrocket your damage at the start of every major battle is too good to pass up. Building our damage around the Rocket Onslaught of the Shooting Stars rune, it is only natural to pick up the synergy of the Ballistics passive, doubling the effectiveness of the rocket's splitting off cluster arrow, and even giving you a free homing rocket every few attacks. This passive is a sizable multiplicative boost. Steady Aim completes the offensive trio of passives, boosting your damage with a 20% multiplicative increase, a change as of patch 2.41, as long as you maintain the generously low requirement of 10 yards between yourself and the enemy. You have a decision-making point for your final passive slot. As arguably the safest of Demon Hunter sets, Marauder can get away with using a fourth offensive passive in the form of Cool the Weak, amplifying your damage against slowed or chilled enemies by 20%. This potent multiplicative passive gets triggered by the Sentry Polar Station and the Spider Companion, so make sure to always have one turret covering the enemy in its chill radius. If you prefer having a cheat death at your disposal, Awareness is a free life on a decent 60-second cooldown, coupled with a brief window of safety and life regeneration when triggered. The build incorporates the complete embodiment of the Marauder set, taking all 6 available pieces and opening up the jewelry for the Bastions of Will set and its damage multiplication bonuses. You'll be trying to reach a 37 CDR breakpoint for permanent uptime of Vengeance, attainable from Paragon points, a flawless Royal Diamond in the helm, and 3 other items with max CDR rolls, distributed as you see fit. For example, on the shoulders, quiver, and one of your rings. Double crit stats alongside high dexterity and vitality are sought after on the Marauder's gloves. On the Marauder's shoulders, resource cost reduction, cooldown reduction, and sentry damage make for a glassy but effective choice. Sentry percentage is desired on Marauder's chest as well, where it keeps company with dexterity and vitality. When pushing high GRs, cluster arrow percentage is sought after on the Marauder's boots and Marauder's helm. Multi-shot percentage ideally replaces these rolls in Torments. Marauder's pants remain a pure toughness slot. Not skipping on any of the pieces required to obtain the 6th set bonus leaves space for a potent combo in the jewelry, the Bastions of Will set, Focus and Restraint. This ring set adds an impressive 2.25 independent damage multiplier as long as you alternate between a primary and Splendor attacks. Thus, learn to weave frequent evasive fire shots in your cluster arrow or multi-shot spam. In the stats, aim for crit chance, crit damage, area damage, and an open socket. Completing the jewelry, you have a number of options for the amulet slot. Arguably, your best option would be a well-rolled Hellfire amulet, with a helpful 5th passive like Ambush or Awareness. Other variants include the grouping of the S of Johann to ease AoE, or the ranged damage reduction of Aya Vetlich. Regardless of your choice, the desired stats are crit chance, crit damage, and an open socket, and appropriate elemental damage, physical for shooting stars, cold for maelstrom, or fire for multi-shot arsenal. Introduced in patch 2.4, Zoe's secret belt is tailored to the Marauder set bonuses, and offers a unique source of protection, up to 9% damage reduction for every active companion, cutting incoming damage by more than half as a result. Stats-wise, you can fully dedicate this slot to increasing your toughness. The general recommendation for the wrist slot are the Wraps of Clarity. These bracers further reduce damage taken by up to 35% for 5 seconds after using a Hatred generator. Its duration is similar to the Bastions of Willset, creating a rhythm to the buffs that makes them relatively effortless to maintain. When doing non-threatening content such as torments, it is advisable to swap away from the safe choice into speedrun appropriate bracers like Nemesis bracers or Werzekian arm guards, speeding up your clears with more frequent elites and environment destruction speed boosts respectively. Extending the utility you get out of the Marauder set bonus, the Bombardier's Rucksack lets you have 2 additional sentries. Unlike the custom engineering passive, these additional charges are not immediately available, but you'll have enough time to drop them in any significant fight, and the potential increase of your own damage makes the quiver mandatory for the build. The quiver has been changed to roll 5 primary stats and a guaranteed sentry damage roll of up to 100%, making a high skill bonus and CDR the desired rolls alongside dexterity, vitality, crit chance, and attack speed. One of the signature vanilla Demon Hunter crossbows, Manticore, has received a facelift in patch 2.4 to complement Marauder cluster arrow builds for pushing high GRs. Besides rolling up to 80% additional cluster arrow damage, it offers the unique property of reducing the skill's resource cost in half, an indispensable bonus with the gluttonous 40 hatred per shot. When facing the limited scope of Torment difficulties, you can swap into a multi-shot Marauder variation and take Yang's Recurve, whose resource cost reduction unique property will ensure carefree spam of AoE and vault mobility. Your 3 jewelry sockets will be taken up by the legendary gems Bane of the Trapped, Zeiss Stone of Vengeance, and Bane of the Powerful. Bane of the Trapped is a potent source of additional damage, as it is its own multiplier in your total damage calculation. The gem will be procced by Zeiss Stone of Vengeance, Polar Station Chills, and Spider Companion Slows, as well as your AI companion, usually armed with Thunder Fury. Zeiss Stone of Vengeance is another independent multiplier, whose ranged-dependent amplification can be easily maxed out by the long reach of Cluster Arrow. The level 25 property will add some minor control and safety to the build, as well as another proc for Bane of the Trapped. Note that Sentry's range is independent from yours when it comes to Zai damage bonuses, so spread them accordingly and don't get greedy for additional slows. While it's usually associated with speedrunning, Bane of the Powerful's duration scales very well with levels, and having a low uptime on a decently leveled gem is a telling sign that the rift is unfavorable anyway, maybe a winding layout, lacking density, or insufficient elites. The gem's default 20% damage increase has been reworked into multiplicative, and the level 25 bonus now increases and reduces elite damage by 15%, making it a well-rounded choice for many builds. For extremely high-end pushing, consider swapping this gem out for Bane of the Stricken to assist you in taking down the Rift Guardian. The Kanai's Cube recommendations are as follows: Dawn for the weapon slot, Visage of Guns or the Clock of Garwolf for the armor slot, and Convention of Elements for the jewelry slot. Formerly an instant salvage item, Dawn has been reworked into one of the most potent Demon Hunter legendaries. Reducing Vengeance's cooldown by 60%, Dawn offers you the option for permanent uptime with a modest investment into cooldown reduction, an offer that is hard to ignore with Vengeance's damage, resource, and protection bonuses. As previously mentioned, you have 2 options for the armor slot in the cube. The safer choice, and I would say easier, is Visage of Guns, which stores the damage reduction bonus from Vengeance Darkheart and allows you to run the Resource Powerhouse Seethe on your bar. If you have a well-rolled Zoe secret, you can opt for the more flavorful Cloak of Garwolf. It will cause a minor toughness loss, actually less than 3% with a perfect 9% Zoe secret, but brings more damage and 2 more meat shields in front of the Demon Hunter. As a final note, both these safety options will be redundant in Torment 10, where you can opt for whichever utility bracer you're missing from your equipment, either Nemesis bracers or Warzekian arm guards. The jewelry slot is best taken by the pure damage boost of Convention of Elements, whose rotation of elemental bonuses you'll have to keep under close scrutiny. Once the sequence reaches the relevant element for your spec, you'll enjoy a significant increase to your damage, so try to adopt a strategy of drawing monster attention during the off cycles and major hatred spending during the preferred element cycle. When doing Torment runs, you can substitute Convention of Elements for Avarice Band and replace Bane of the Powerful with Boon of the Hoarder in your gems to gain some additional movement speed in a fully optimized setup. However, this is only advisable once you're comfortable with your potential to one-shot enemies. In the Paragon points, max out movement speed to the 25% cap and spend the rest on dexterity in the core section. Prioritize crit damage, crit chance and then cooldown reduction in offense. All resistance followed by armor and then life percentage in defense. And finally focus on resource cost reduction and area damage in utility. And this is it for the in-depth look at the Marauder Demon Hunter progression in patch 2.41. You can find the full written version linked in the description below, as well as a Google spreadsheet linking to my detailed guides for every build in Diablo 3, of course in the process of revision to patch 2.41. I hope you enjoyed this guide, and if you did, I would appreciate your subscription to my channel. Talk to me on Twitter and Facebook that I linked below, and I'll see you guys next time.